One more time for the greatest team in America.
September the 15th, 1981, when we put out the word, all y'all who are interested in coming out for football at Georgia Southern, come on out. And we were greeted that first day by 126 of the most enthusiastic non-athletes I've ever seen in my life. We had 2 full-time football coaches and myself. Ben Griffith was the offensive coordinator and Mike Healy was the defensive coordinator. And we arrived at that by my asking which one of y'all wants to coach offense and which one of you want to coach defense. But I'm glad to be back out practicing, and our kids are enthusiastic, if not overly talented, and I'm really enjoying it.
We didn't have any equipment, we didn't have any practice fields, we didn't have a stadium, we didn't have shoulder pads, we didn't even have a football. We didn't even have an office. So they had kind of made some little small offices, some temporary offices for assistant coaches, but we didn't have anywhere for Coach Russell as a head coach. But we had a donor come and say, we'd like to participate, and how can we participate? They were in the mobile home business. Said, hey, we don't have an office for Coach Russell. And so they said, well, we'll give you a trailer. I think it was a single wide, not a double wide. And that was Coach Russell's first office. It had a jacuzzi in it. And Coach Russell always liked to joke when he was on the phone with coaches, other coaches, collegiate and all. He said, I'm the only college football coach in America that has an office with a jacuzzi in it.
Thinking back on the early fundraising days, I remember going out to, with the Dirty Dozen, I went to Snooki's. That's where I saw Coach Russell, in his motivational way, hold up a jock strap and say, if I can get $2, I can get a jock strap. Now, who wouldn't do that? You know, I got $2. It was no big money, but it was just how that Dirty Dozen did that. It was interesting at best.
We didn't really think about what we didn't have. We thought about what we did have. And how can we take, as Coach Russell used to say, take a lemon and make lemonade. How can we take the resources that we have in front of us and use that in a way to help these guys, accomplish their goals.
He always said that you just take less and do more with it. That's why the uniforms are just basic, because he said he wanted the other team to feel sorry for us.
He had a great saying, which was, at Georgia Southern, we don't cheat because it takes money to cheat, and we don't have any.
That whole scenario that he was scrappy, he was going to get the job done, he was there to work hard, and that he needed people alongside of him that would work hard. And if we practiced with footballs from Kmart, we were going to do it, and we were going to start as soon as he could.
So the first real game that I shot was in Dublin, and it was they called it the Shamrock Bowl because we played at the Dublin High School field.
I owned the clothing store. Billy Hobbs had a sporting goods store, and he and I were talking about having some fundraiser in Dublin. We approached Bucky about having a football game in Dublin and giving all the proceeds to the football program. Bucky liked the idea, so we partnered with some of the folks in Statesboro. I remember Bobby Underwood and Bucky, and then a lot of the other guys, part of the Dirty Dozen. And we started selling tickets for that event, and we ended up, I don't know how we got the date of Halloween night on October the 31st in 1981 in the Shamrock Bowl. We were working the barbecue line and tickets, taking up tickets, and a lot of people just came up and gave us checks, just donating money. If they bought tickets, they gave additional money and giving us checks. I remember there was a lot of enthusiasm. I think the players really, really loved the opportunity. I mean, they were out of Statesboro. Shamrock Bowl is a tremendous stadium. It gave them a game-like atmosphere, and I think they got excited about competing. We had a lot of people that were Georgia fans that came because of Earth. So we had a cross-section of the community, and a lot of folks from Statesboro came up. We had folks from Macon, Atlanta. So it was a nice evening.
The The club sport idea helped us, gave us time to slow time. We start out, our first game is in Statesboro High School field, and we play the Magnum Force. It's the Jacksonville Police Force.
Gosh, I can go all the way from the very first time we got our team together and went to Tallahassee to play the Florida State JVs, and we had no business even being on the field with those guys, but our guys gave us such a tremendous effort. We came close to beating those guys, a lot of scholarship athletes, and there we were with 100 of the most enthusiastic non-athletes you've ever seen.
With Valdosta, the first time when they started, I said, you need a game, I need a game, here's what we'll do. We'll play home and home, same year. And we opened with them up here, and as luck would have it, we tied 27-27. So we go down there the last game of the season and play for both games. And that was when Tracy was starting to come along. About the middle of that season, he started coming along, and that game he started showing who he was.
They had run some option and some run and shoot principles, and we just tried to take it and really tried to build it around Tracy. He was a dynamic player, and to this day, he's probably, if not the best, one of the best football players I ever coached. He just had this knack and ability that he could see the whole field, and he could do whatever you ask him to do. He probably didn't hold the football correctly to throw it, but he could throw it. And he could complete passes, he understood defenses, he could come out and tell you what was going on.
When Paul adopted this offense, we already was running the run and shoot. So that's what we were trying to do. Irk wanted to run pound and football. We couldn't do that, we just wasn't big enough to, kick out the 5 technique, double team the 3 technique, and lead up on the back. We had nobody of that size or that strength up front to be able to do that. And so what Paul, when he adopted this offense, he essentially said, okay, if we can't block them, we're gonna read them. And that just made more sense to me than anything, because I was tired of people being in my face, right? Trying to hold off a guy with 2 guys, and all of a sudden at 5'10", 5'9.5" at the time, I couldn't see downfield. And so once we adopted the option, it was able to get me outside, sprint out, the run and shoot package. Still, the concept of downfield throwing was there. Now people would load up for the option, then we just, we insert the run and shoot package there. So the versatility made me feel like I fit in this offense.
Once the Eagles had someone to play, it was time to start thinking about a place to play, somewhere to call home. In stepped Gulfstream's owner, Alan E. Paulson, with $1 million gift.
One of our congressmen at the time, Bo Ginn, along with Rick Mandes and Dale Lick, went down to visit Paulson. They said, would you consider $1 million to help us build the stadium? And we'll name it Alan E. Paulson Stadium. And I remember that he wrote that check, and it was just a check out of just a normal small folding checkbook, like you and I would tear off and maybe write at the convenience store for maybe a Coca-Cola and a bag of potato chips. And he wrote that check to Georgia Southern University for $1 million, and the rest is history. The stadium is named for him.
Paulson Stadium was built on land that some pecans, but mostly good old forestry that we used to hunt out here. Couldn't play a lot because too many shrub and trees, and it was pretty good thicket out here. And when MC started clearing, we'd actually, boy, we might even be able to put a football stadium here.
We're gonna have not just a stadium where 20,000 people can sit. It's gonna be a first-class facility. And it's gonna be good. We're gonna have a good team. We might be out-coached. We might be outmanned on some occasions. But I'll be damned if we'll ever be out-hustled. Thank you.
Well, I remember what it meant to play our game here, because we played in Savannah the previous week, and we was really upset because we wanted to play. We had been playing at the high school. We really wanted to play here in Statesboro, but the stadium just wasn't ready, right? It was barely ready when we played Liberty, right? When you look at the tape, it was barely ready then, so.
The first day of the stadium I remember very well. We were having our pregame social at the Lupton building at the time, which is now the Bishop building. And I remember looking out across the field, looking out the glass at the Eagle Club seats. And there was Bucky Wagner, the athletics director, with a towel wiping off the seats. And he was about half through with that, and a helicopter comes in. And of course, we didn't have much grass on those hills back then. And the helicopter landed, bringing in Mr. Paulson, and the dust scattered everywhere. So Bucky had to wipe the seats again, but he was right by himself wiping the seats on the very first day we were playing Liberty Baptist.
We had a very competitive group of guys now. Just Monty, Ricky, Gerald, all those guys, super competitive. And I'm pretty sure all of them was thinking the same thing, I'm gonna be the first one. And look, I just, I beat them to the punch, right? It was an innocent little play, right? It was just a power, full house power. We was trying to get 1 yard, and then it was a keep on the play, and they all bid on it. And so some guys will be, when they see this interview, they'll be, so that should have been me. Monty will say that, Ricky will say that, Gerald will say that. Clearly they wanted to be the first one, but somehow I beat them to it, right?
To see how far and how fast Georgia Southern progressed in such a short amount of time it just still kind of flabbergasts me that you could go from atrocious practice fields, the double wide trailer coach's office, the locker room that was basically a PE locker room, and win a national championship 3 years later.